We thank you for demonstrating great character and respect this morning.
Today's assembly is to honor our veterans. Today, there will be not any spirit state competitions or skits. Instead, there will be speeches, there will be stories, and there will be opportunities for you to honor individuals who have made the choice to commit to something greater than themselves.
Sunnyside High School, this is our chance to show Grizzly pride by demonstrating solemn respect. Today's expectations for each of you is to show respect with silence when silence is needed, or applauding when applause is necessary.
Left, right. Go left, march. March time, march. Right, face. Forward, march.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This nonprofit organization provides support to returning soldiers and their families as they adjust to life after being injured in line of duty. This year's event was able to raise $1,229.
Good morning. What does the word veteran mean to you? When I say the word veteran, what image comes to your mind? For me, it means always putting others before yourself or we before me. I personally like to thank my dad, uncles, and all veterans for the service, sacrifice, and commitment they have made for our country. I imagine it's not easy leaving for several months for multiple years at a time, leaving the ones you love behind to protect the people of our country. While my dad was in service, he learned many life lessons that he has passed down to me and my family, like striving to be your best and always pushing the limits so that you can succeed. My dad has also taught us that some things take tremendous sacrifice. For him, that was being deployed to Saudi Arabia 2 weeks before his son was born and not being able to see him till he was 7 months old. Once again, I would like to thank my dad, uncles, and all veterans, and those who are currently serving in our U.S. military for the service, sacrifice, and commitment they have given to protect our country.
Very happy to be able to talk with you today. I enjoy talking with students. I love to talk about the Navy. Some people claim I just love to talk. In the Navy, we have a formal statement of beliefs. It's called the Sailor's Creed. And in that creed, we declare that we represent the fighting spirit of the Navy and those who have gone before us to defend freedom and democracy around the world. I'm honored to represent those who have gone before, and especially the veterans that are assembled here with us today. As I brainstormed ideas for this speech, I thought about SHS's core values. And one that stuck out in particular was perseverance. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about perseverance and the grit it takes to persevere. And when I thought about grit, I thought about sandpaper. When you're trying to smooth out a rough piece of wood, you can use sandpaper. The little pieces of rock and other materials on the sandpaper is called grit. When wood's very rough, you need big grit to smooth it out. Then after working on it for a while, persevering, you can use less grit, smaller grit. If a project is really big, you might use a lot of grit, then it might take a little less, and then more again. And if it's huge, you might actually need a friend to come and help and give you some grit. I'd like to tell you a little story about a man who needed a lot of grit and perseverance in his lifetime. He took ownership of the situations he was in. He lived we before me. He exuded excellence, and he showed and earned respect. His name is Carl Brashear. Carl Brashear was an African American from a family of sharecroppers. They lived on land that was owned by someone else, and then they gave part of the crops and then paid rent as well. They didn't have very much money, and life was really hard. Field work is hard. Carl Brashear wanted more for his life, so he did about the best thing any young person can do. He joined the Navy. When he joined the Navy in 1948, African Americans were only allowed to be cooks or stewards. He was a steward, meaning he did chores for officers and sometimes prepared meals for them. But he strove for excellence, knowing he could do more. One day on board ship, he saw a Navy diver recover a plane that had fallen off the ship into the ocean. He knew then that that was what he wanted to do. But no African American had ever been a Navy diver. He would need a lot of great perseverance if he were to make this dream come true. He wrote to the Navy diving school, asking to be enrolled. He got no response. So he wrote again, and again, and again. He wrote over 100 times before they finally let him in. But eventually they did let him in. And once he got there, he needed even more grit. People threatened him. They called him bad names. They sabotaged him. But he didn't let this bullying get him down. He earned the respect of his instructors, and he became a Navy diver. After more struggles and testing, he advanced to be a first-class diver, which is very difficult to do. It was as a first-class diver that he faced his greatest challenge. While recovering a bomb from the Mediterranean Sea, some equipment started to break. Now Chief Petty Officer Carl Brashear realized his soldiers were in danger. A heavy pipe went flying across the deck, and putting "we" before me, Chief Brashear raced towards his sailors, knocking them out of the way. He saved their lives, but in his attempt, his leg was crushed. Doctors told him that with a crushed leg, he would have to get out of the Navy. So he had the doctors remove his leg. He could have retired at this point, but he loved his country, loved the Navy, and did not want to leave his sailors. He wanted to go back to diving. He mustered all the grit he could find, and others helped him with grit when he was running low. With an artificial leg, he tested to see if the Navy would let him dive again. He had to climb ladders with weights strapped to his back, and for the final test, he had to walk 12 steps in full dive gear, equipment weighing nearly 300 pounds. Showing great grit and perseverance, he passed and went on to face more challenges and became a Navy Master Diver and Master Chief. Carl Brashear took ownership of the situations life presented him. He showed tremendous grit and perseverance, and you can too. School can be a challenge. Playing sports and doing activities can be difficult. Doing the right things can sometimes look like a challenge. But when times get rough, use your grit and work and work and work until things get smoother. Persevere to be the absolute best student, best person, and best citizen you can be. Your teachers are counting on you, your families are counting on you, and our great country is counting on you. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Today, Mr. Martinez asked me to come up and say a few words, and gladly I'm here to spend some time with y'all. I want to just thank everybody for all the vets that made it today. They are definitely heroes in my mind, and we appreciate the time that you guys have given us to be here today. I grew up here at Sunnyside. I graduated way back in 1987 as a Grizzly. I joined the Marine Corps right after high school, and there I was able to learn quite a bit. But even before that, when I was a youngster, 14, 15 years old, I joined the police department as an escort. And so, going back to what Mr. Martinez had mentioned about me before, I'm sorry. One of the work ethics that your high school has, I believe in that. And so at 14, 15, I joined the police department as an explorer, helping in the community. I did that for 2 or 3 years, and it was a lot of fun. It's very gratifying. And so when you think about what's going on in life today as a youngster, you guys in school, some of you could relate to that. I'll move on. So one of the things that appealed to me about the military was some of the mottos that were catchphrases that go around. You see the commercials, you see the posters, you see the recruiters coming around the schools. Back in the day, the Army was be all you can be, right? The Navy, not a job, it's an adventure, right? Okay. Air Force was aim high. And Marine Corps was a few the crowd. And that one was the motto that caught me, right? Like a hook on the salmon. It appealed to me, and so that was another example of service. Some of the things that I experienced in the Marine Corps, as these gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, have experienced, we've experienced good times, bad times. We've experienced people passing away in front of us. We've experienced death, we've experienced war, we've experienced the good and the bad. Coming home, very, very important. Family life, very, very important. So when you have somebody that you know that's a veteran, a relative, maybe your teacher, an adult that is a veteran, talk to them, relate to them, get to know them, ask them questions. They'll be happy to talk to you about it. But one thing for sure that we appreciate when young people take the time and thank the veterans. We appreciate young people just even having a care for veterans. And just take the time to do that. So during my time in the military, I was in the Gulf War, and I got out of the Gulf War, came back to Sunnyside. I ended up getting a job at the school and then eventually the police department. Again, throughout my life, it's been service. And it's not something I complain about, something I'm proud of. But something you can do as well, when we talk about service, first thing you gotta do is you gotta put down your phones. You gotta put your phones away. The cell phones can take a break. You can take a break from social media. You can take a break from the internet and look around you. Look around at your neighborhood, look around at your neighbors, and you feel the need. You see a need, you feel the need. Okay? So what I'm talking about is your elderly folks, your elderly neighbors. And some of you know who they are. Some of you know right now what neighborhood you live in and who needs help. Somebody may not ask you, you may not announce it to everybody, you just do it. Get a couple of your friends, go over, and just, that's how it starts, baby steps. You want to serve your country one day? Great. We want you to do that. We want you to serve your country. We want you to see the experiences, see what life is all about, but more importantly, that reward. And also be proud of your nation, be proud of that flag. Again, go in your neighborhood, look around, find a neighbor that needs help, fix a fence, mow the yard, rake the leaves, paint the house, and I guarantee it, they will appreciate you, appreciate the service you provided. And no one has to tell you this, you can do this yourself. So just take the initiative. Last thing I have to say is, these are just building blocks. These are just building blocks that you can do. And you don't have to announce it, you don't have to brag about it, just do it. And you'll feel glad that you did. Why do we do that? Why do we serve? Why do veterans serve? Why would you serve? Because it's positive, it's productive, it's gratifying, satisfying, it's appreciated, and it's also remembered. Thank you very much.
Commander Master Chief John Hewlett, 1993, and still currently serving U.S. Navy Reserve.
NC1 Spencer Martin, served 20 years, U.S. Navy.
E4 Anthony Chester, 4.5 years, Marine Corps.
E4 Jan Smith, 3 years, Army.
Corporal Juan Gonzalez Jr., 4 years, U.S. MC.
Corporal Joe Chiprez, 4 years, United States Marine Corps.
E3 Rosa Ramirez, 3 years, Air Force.
Corporal Peter Warren, 1987 to 1991, Marine Corps. Corporal Oliver Hernandez, 1987 to 1991, Marines. E6 Daisy Mann, 11 years, National Guard.
Officer Candidate E6 Paula Ramirez, 3 years, Army National Guard.
Sergeant Christopher Sparks, 17 years, Army. He's one of our SROs, served in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Sergeant First Class Jose A. Acosta, served 20 years, U.S. Army.
SSG Sandra Taylor, 12 years, Army.
Master Sergeant Abel Melendez, 22 years, 9 months, Army Special Forces.
Sergeant Rudy Cortez, 1950 to 1953, Army.
SS6 Hector Canales, 1983 to 1991, Army.
T5 Darrell Cook, 1946 to 1947, Army.
Petty Officer Second Class E5 Ms. Paulus, 4 years, Navy, parachute rigger.
Bossmate Second Class Joe Gordon, 4 years, Navy, 1942 to 1946.
Seaman Bill Geyer, 1952 to 1954, Navy.
POZ Phil Hill, 1967 to 1971, U.S. Navy.
First Sergeant E8 Robert L. Knight, 23 years, 1953 to 1976, U.S. Army and Army active.
E4 Don McCracken, 6 years, Army. E5 Pete Steinbach, Jr., 3 years, Army.
First Sergeant Geronimo Guerrero, 1970 to 1976, 1991 to 2010, U.S. Army and USAF.
SP4 Jean Lange, 3 years, Army.
Sergeant E5 William A. Ingram, 1965 to 1967, Army in Vietnam.
E5 Sergeant Larry Hulbert, 3 years active, 4 reserve, United States Marines.
Airman Second Class George Stans, 1954 to 1956 Air Force, 1956 to 1962 Marine Corps.
Special First Class Marcos, 15 years, Army.
Petty Officer Second Class Kevin Oldfield, 1999 to 2003, U.S. Navy.
Corporal Gerald Green.
Ready, face, praise, and saber. Order, sabers. Ready, face, ball up.
Did you get your rank right this year?